As a civil war consumes burn, loot, murder, $8.7 million goes missing. How about you investigate some more executives at this company and see if any of them are picking up some new mansions? That would be my suggestion. The far left dark money giant Tides Foundation raised more than $33 million on behalf of the National Burn, Loot, Murder Group during the George Kirby riots in current year -4. Now Burn, Loot, Murder is suing Tides over its refusal to hand the funds back. There's just one problem. Nearly $9 million of those funds have seemingly disappeared. Check the leadership to see if they have any unexplained wealth. We can find this money. From current year -4 through current year -2, Tides transferred $8.7 million from the fund to Burn, Loot, Murder Grassroots, an offshoot of the National Burn, Loot, Murder Group led by Melina Abdullah, a longtime activist and professor. But Burn, Loot, Murder Grassroots reported to the IRS it never received the money, and no one involved in the transactions will say what became of the funds. Lock them all up in prison until this is resolved. So these discrepancies have left the charity Watchdogs mystified, while legal experts say they could lead to massive fines and penalties. How about a massive audit? Are we going to get that? I think this is worthy of an audit. $8.7 million literally just disappearing. If an average Joe like me would get audited for an unexplained $100 discrepancy on my taxes, why the hell isn't this shit being audited? This story is based on interviews with Burn, Loot, Murder activists and internal documents obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. Together, they expose how the movement's mismanagement of its current year -4 windfall was aided and abetted by a left-wing dark money machine. It went far beyond the purchase of swanky mansions and massive distributions to associates of its co-founder, Patrice Cullors. So it was used for more than just buying mansions and laundering money. So as the remnants of Burn, Loot, Murder's windfall rapidly diminish, two factions have emerged to seek to establish control over the movement's remaining finances. One side of the power struggle is Burn, Loot, Murder Global Network Foundation, the charity commonly referred to as National Burn, Loot, Murder Group, which is responsible for purchasing a $7 million LA mansion in current year -4. And granting $8 million to the purchase a Canadian mansion in current year -3. Holy shit. The Global Network Foundation received the bulk of Burn, Loot, Murder windfall in current year -4, nearly $80 million. By June current year -1, the endowment had been reduced to $29 million, according to tax documents released last week. I'm surprised they didn't blow it all within 1 year, to be honest. The fact that they dragged it out, was it 3 years later, they still had $30 million left? That's actually impressive to me. I would have thought they would have blown through it by now. So at the other end is Burn, Loot, Murder Grassroots, an offshoot of the global network that tried and failed to sue its progenitor for $10 million and allegedly abusing its own charitable resources to finance overseas vacations for Abdullah, its director. So it looks like both sides want to abuse the money, want to squander it. And they're mad because they want to be the ones to abuse the money. They don't want someone else abusing their money. Burn, Loot, Murder Grassroots finances are a complete mystery. There's no indication the charity has filed public financial disclosure with the IRS, though it was due to file one by November current year -1 at the latest. Do you think they did? Even if they didn't, do you think there's going to be any penalty for them? I'm not really seeing it. So in the middle of the struggle is the Tides Foundation, the left-wing dark money giant that raised more than $33 million on behalf of Burn, Loot, Murder in current year -4, and now refuses to give what remains to either group. The Global Network Foundation sued Tides in May over its refusal to relinquish the funds, arguing that they were raised on its behalf. But behind the scenes, from current year -4 to -2, Abdullah led a committee of 7 Burn, Loot, Murder activists and convinced Tides to divert $8.7 million of the funds to Burn, Loot, Murder Grassroots. And that's where the problem is, I guess. They don't. Maybe they gave all the money to buy Abdullah some more mansions. So whatever became of those millions is unclear. On paper, they seemingly disappeared. And is anyone going to be audited? So through current year -2, Burn Loot Murder Grassroots was fiscally sponsored project of One Love Global, a Michigan-based charity led by activist Angela Waters Austin. It was a cozy arrangement for Austin, who simultaneously served alongside Abdullah on the committee and convinced Tides to transfer millions to her charity. Free Beacon obtained internal Tides emails showing its grants to One Love Global for the benefit of Burn Loot Murder Grassroots, specifically for the support of Burn Loot Murder chapters across the country. It grants the grants to One Love Global are reflected in Tides Foundation's public Form 990 tax returns. All right, at least the Tides Foundation, they for all their problems, they at least got their paperwork in order. Okay. But Austin and One Love Global reported radically different financial pictures to the IRS those years. From current year -4 through -2, One Love Global said it received contributions from all sources of just $2.2 million, and One Love Global reportedly granted $0 to Burn Loot Murder chapters those years, according to IRS disclosures. Sounds like they lied. So one of these companies, their stories match with what their IRS filings say. The others don't. I wonder which one's lying. They could all be, though, just in different ways. Now, to put it simply, millions of dollars that Tides Foundation sent to One Love Global to help Burn Loot Murder Grassroots support local chapters fell into an accounting black hole. One Love Global told the IRS it never received the Tides money. Local Burn Loot Murder chapters were iced out, and $8.7 million in charitable funds vanished on paper. Maybe someone bought a mansion. So charity watchdogs and tax attorneys were mystified at the discrepancies. Former IRS tax law specialist Patrick Sternal said if One Love Global fails to report millions of dollars it received from the Tides Foundation, it could result in penalty taxes for the underreporting, and potentially, depending on where the funds went, it might raise issues of whether the organization engaged in private benefit or inurement transactions. Charity Watch CEO Lori Stryton offered a blunt assessment. Someone is stealing the money. There you go. Someone pocketed this shit. Got to audit everyone that had access to that money and find out who it was. So this doesn't make any sense, Stryton told the Free Beacon after examining One Love Global's tax returns. At best, it's extremely sloppy reporting. This is not good. It calls into question the reliability of the financial reporting. Yeah, everything else this company has filed is now in question. The Accuracy One Love Global also reported it had deferred revenues ranging from $1.9 million in current year -4 to $5.6 million in current year -2. It's unclear if those figures represent the Tides contributions, but even if they did, it's still millions of dollars less than what Tides said it gave them. Regardless, Stryton said it's inappropriate for a charity to report such grants as deferred revenue. So even if that's what it is, they still did it wrong and could be punished. Okay. So nonprofit tax attorney Jessica Brokert Bartlett added it's highly unusual for a tax-exempt organization to report deferred revenue on its 990. So even more rare to do it year after year. This typically only happens when an organization receives a conditional grant, which is also uncommon. And One Love Global did not return requests for comment. For all their flaws, they're at least smart enough to not talk to the media. There's no public indication One Love Global ever fiscally sponsored Burn Loot Murder Grassroots. Several Burn Loot Murder sources said the secrecy of the arrangement was intentional. Do tell. All right, a Burn Loot Murder source told the Free Beacon that Abdullah, leader of Burn Loot Murder Grassroots, kept the fiscal sponsorship arrangement intentionally private because she didn't want the public to know about how her group was spending money. Didn't want the public to know that the money was spent on her vacations. So I remember specifically Abdullah made mention that she didn't want to incorporate Burn Loot Murder Grassroots because she didn't want folks to know how the money was moving. Hey, and now it looks like you might need to get audited because like 8.7 million, it's not moving. It just disappeared. Yeah, that's a problem there, lady. Tides remains committed to the secrecy of the arrangement. Tide spokeswoman's Laia Caravallo refused to publicly confirm that its grants to One Love Global were to support Burn Loot Murder Grassroots, a fact established in internal Tides emails. Could they be prosecuted for this? Yeah, has anyone left after the money disappeared? That's a good question, too. We recommend you contact Burn Loot Murder Grassroots to disclose information about their financial sponsorship history, Caravallo told the Free Beacon. We have no further comment. Well, maybe you will if you were subpoenaed. Carvalho did not respond to follow-up questions asking if Tides was at all concerned for the 8.7 million. That's now unaccounted for. Burn Loot Murder sources said Abdullah shielded Burn Loot Murder grassroots financials from the public at the same time the Global Network Foundation was facing intense public scrutiny over its own finances. Yeah, so she learned from experience. She was like, these guys are being roasted for buying large mansions, so I better keep my mansions off the record. So let's time to expose said record, man. Let's do it. Who the fuck are you? You ain't done shit, Abdullah said while sipping on white wine and snacking on strawberries. So you ain't doing no fucking work. No, you do no work. You're on Twitter. You have no following, and you're trying to gain a following by talking shit. I wonder what sort of work this person has done other than launder money. So around the time the video was filmed, Abdullah allegedly dipped into Burn Loot Murder grassroots accounts to fund a personal vacation to Jamaica. Some members of grassroots team secretly took a book writing retreat trip to Jamaica without notifying the entirety of the team or without approving the budgetary expenditure. I guess so. You know what this was? I've kind of seen this attitude. They had access to the company card, and they just figured, well, we got the card. We could just use the card. We don't need to tell anyone. We have access to the card. So former Burn Loot Murder grassroots co-director Sandra Hudson wrote in a January current year -2 memo. Two Tides. Hudson's leadership position within the group was terminated just weeks after she sent the memo. What a coincidence. So the activist said in a sworn declaration as part of Burn Loot Murder grassroots failed lawsuit against the Global Foundation. So Abdullah described her Jamaica trip as a vacation during a private conversation with another Burn Loot Murder activist in current year -3. She mentioned she had just come back from Jamaica for vacation and went with some of the people with grassroots. That's Burn Loot Murder activist told the Free Beacon. She said grassroots was writing a book or something, but that she also mentioned that to me that it was important that I not say anything to anyone because it was really just a vacation. Now, in interests of fairness, shady stuff like this is common in the corporate world. Like how if you're out on a customer site or something and lunchtime rolls around, and if you get paid hourly, invite one of the customers to go to lunch with you, and now it counts as a business lunch, and both the food and the hours covered by the company. You see. Doesn't matter if you only talk business for like 5 seconds just to meet the minimum requirement. It's a business lunch now. Yeah, this type of shady BS, it's very damn common. As of the publication of this article, neither Burn Loot Murder grassroots nor Abdullah have published a book. They might publish the book long after this story dies down, just to meet some legal requirement, and then you'll never hear from them again. Like, there you go. We did it, so you can't sue us now. Burn Loot Murder grassroots broke away from One Love Global and became a standalone charity in current year -2. Its first course of action was to file a frivolous lawsuit against Global Network Foundation for $10 million in August of current year -2. A California judge threw out the lawsuit and ordered Burn Loot Murder grassroots to repay Global Network's legal fees of over $700,000. I wonder if they were even able to get that. So the IRS allows charities to raise tax-free money, but in return, they must disclose their finances to the public. So how is Burn Loot Murder grassroots able to get away with not disclosing this if they count as a charity? The IRS authorized Burn Loot Murder grassroots to operate as a charity over 2 years ago, but its finances remain shrouded in secrecy. Several legal experts confirmed that Burn Loot Murder grassroots should have filed a Form 990 tax return for its current year -2 fiscal year by November at the latest. That deadline passed over 6 months ago, but the group's tax disclosures are nowhere to be found, nor is the group registered in any state-level charitable solicitation regulators. I guess their excuse is, no, it's the local chapters that do that. We don't have to register. So Paul Kamener, an attorney for the National League and the Policy Center Watchdog Group, said Burn Loot Murder grassroots could face IRS fines of up to $60,000 if it doesn't file its disclosure with the IRS. Man, they don't give a shit. It's just look, if they disappeared $8.7 million, and you're going to charge them $60,000? Like, unless that's like accruing daily with interest, they're not going to give a shit. Dude, come on, man. Come back with something serious. Yeah, 60,000 would destroy an individual, but not an organization that makes 8.7 million disappear like it's nothing. Spokesperson for Burn Loot Murder Grassroots told the Free Beacon the organization has filed its tax returns on time and will continue to prioritize regulatory compliance. Prove it. But Burn Loot Murder Grassroots did not return several written requests for copies of its Form 990 tax returns, a document charities are required to provide to the public upon request. Got him. So, Burn Loot Murder movement has been down this road before. The Washington Examiner reported in current year -2 that the Global Network Foundation was months late filing its own 990 tax returns and was not registered with state-level charity regulators. Those stories led authorities in California, Washington, and Indiana to send legal threats to Global Network Foundation, and the group was forced to temporarily shut off its online fundraising streams as it resolved its compliance issues. Yeah, government came by. Hey, where's my cut? Yeah, we don't care if you fuck this up. Just give us our cut. The Global Network Foundation has since remained in compliance, filing its public tax returns on time and remaining in good standing with state-level regulators. Same can't be said for Burn Loot Murder Grassroots. Yeah, they also disappeared almost $10 million, so I'm sure these are completely unrelated.